Rigorous instruction has been facilitated greatly by this year's Instructional Core, and it has impacted learning at the Bronx Hub. The professional development sessions have focused on the content areas of reading, writing, and discussion. Also, teachers were given an opportunity to talk to each other, which has not been the case before. Then we had various professional development borough-wide, and then we had 3 learning walks. All of this provided me with coaching techniques so that I could help my teachers provide, deliver instruction at a pace that would be considered rigorous.
The Instructional Core has helped to focus the feedback provided to teachers through the content they teach within their classrooms, their practice, and how students engage in reading, writing, and discussion activities. I look forward to working with them in implementing annotation, implementing Foursquare, Think, Pair, Share, and any other reading, writing, and discussion activities that they would want to implement within their classrooms.
This year I was privileged enough to be a facilitator in the science content PDs. What we found this year in working with our science teachers, that we were able to have them talk and share best practices with each other, also bring about suggestions on how to improve lessons and to build contacts that we couldn't have had if we didn't have those PDs. This year, we're hoping that our teachers are going to use that information, as we've seen through the learning walks and through our classroom visits, and I'm very proud of what we've done.
My experience on the citywide PD planning team has influenced my thinking about teaching and learning. My team has developed resources and tools that are useful in the math classroom. It's been a challenge to try to get the thinking to shift from rote procedure and teaching to a test to that in which the students are actively engaged in their learning and take ownership of what's happening in the classroom. So I've gone from seeing teachers using worksheets, having students complete problems 1 to 10, then sharing their answers, to students actively engaged in debate in the math classroom, deciding on what would be the best approach in solving a problem and using the step-by-step strategy in order to show how they've done so.
The Instructional Core has helped me this year to become a lot more creative with my sessions. Usually in a counselor session, it's usually not scripted, you kind of just go with the flow. So now with incorporating the reading, writing, and discussion has allowed me to become a lot more creative with the lessons that I create for the students. One thing that was particularly successful was on one of my sessions I did a guided meditation, and the students really took to that. I had to research it, of course, which again allowed me to become a lot more creative. And they took well to it, so I really enjoyed that, and I actually want to incorporate that into next year's lesson or another lesson that I continue to do. I think one challenge I faced was just kind of figuring out, well, actually when working with ESL students, the language barrier was a little bit of a challenge for me, so I had to figure out how to incorporate my lessons so that the students can understand a lot better what I was trying to explain to them. But all in all, I mean, I had a great year using the Instructional Core, and I look forward to using it again next year.
This year's Instructional Core has impacted learning across P2G. My experience during the citywide PD sessions has deepened my knowledge of the importance of incorporating different strategies, such as incorporating reading, writing, and discussion during my counseling sessions with students. I feel that this helps to tap in more to the students' interests and abilities. Some of the ways I have tried to incorporate Instructional Core strategies during my sessions with students is by, for instance, during Restorative Circle, I try to use practices, resources such as poetry with students, having them read a poem and kind of analyze and pick out parts of the poem that resonates with them the most, and break off into having like short discussions in pairs about the poems that they're reading.
The instructional core helped me this year with discussion. We did a lot of group counseling discussions and open discussions with the students. I would hand out index cards to the students and they would write down questions, any kind of questions. We put the questions in a paper bag, we shake them up. The students would pick out the question and read it to the group, and the group would help answer the question or give the student feedback on how to solve the problem, or just to know that the students are listening to each other.
We did an exceptional project this year. We felt we did a project on the book Wonder, which incorporated all of the instructional core skills.
So when we looked at the book Wonder, as Sue said, it looked at the social and emotional aspect for the students. But then my part came in when I focused on the literacy skills. And one thing that we did well was our guided reading, our shared reading, and our writing. And incorporating the skills learned at PD, for example, annotating the text, and also using the Cornell note-taking skills for my students.
We did circle reading every day. Many of the students we have in the class were not able to read the book themselves, so I read to them. And we did a project and made t-shirts. And everybody had a t-shirt to make. It was based on the book Wonder. They all had sayings that they put on the shirts. We all wore the shirts. We did bulletin boards. And then we went to see the movie together as a class.
Our approach was focused on student learning and student engagement, and most of our activities came from suggestions from the students.
Our esteemed colleague Carmine coined the phrase, draw, label, and describe. And that's how I've taught my lessons up to the new approach that we've taken, and it has forced us all to make our students more accountable for what it is that they read. And they can show that they learned by discussing what they read. And most of the time, students will tell us, I read it and I understand it, but I can't explain it. So with forcing them to read, write, and describe, they are now held accountable for what they read, and it has worked in my classroom. Students are talking more, and I can step back and listen to their conversations. And that's been great. It helped me to step back and be more of a facilitator than the teacher who is always talking.
This year, the Instructional Core has impacted learning across the curriculum. I teach all 5 subjects for the task, and it could be overwhelming at times. There's so much to learn and teach. The Instructional Core has given me the tools and resources to bring it all together. One particular part of the Instructional Core that worked in my classroom was the thorough vocabulary lists, or key terms. Our students struggle with academic vocabulary across the curriculum, and the task stresses vocabulary even in mathematics. We've used the key terms with varied instructional strategies. The Foursquare was a great instructional tool, and this strategy reinforced the academic vocabulary to get them ready for the task.
This instructional core has helped me attain my task diploma. Ms. Zuick would give us math work and say it's all on the P2G curriculum. We would spend time in all areas of studying, reading, writing, discussion, math, etc. The Foursquare really condensed ideas into a chart form which made it easy to study and analyze important concepts.
The instructional core has helped me to become a better learner because the read, write, discuss has helped me to understand the task or the subject that we are doing in school, and by reading and writing, it widens my vocabulary, and also by discussing and hearing what other students have to say, I will understand more. And as I look forward in life, and next year, I have recently applied to Co-op Tech and I got accepted to start culinary art school, and the read, write, discuss is one of the instructional cores I will be using in my studies, and I believe this will help me a lot.
This year's Instructional Core has impacted learning across P2G, and my experiences during the citywide PD content sessions have, I feel, brought my attention to my use of reading, writing, and discussion in my own classroom. And how does that make you feel? How did you?
The Instructional Core has changed the way I think, the way I go about doing my work. Me being able to annotate words that I didn't know, even if it means me drawing just a little sketch so I can remember it or even understand it, so when I hear the word again, I know what it means, has helped me and my vocabulary a lot. My vocabulary has improved.
What are some of the things we have done in the classroom that have made you a better student? What are some of the parts of the Instructional Core?
The Instructional Core has helped me a lot because we use the method called Think, Pair, and Share. We get questions each day, we try to think about the questions and ways to solve the questions. And we form a group in class, we come up with solutions, respect each other's opinions, and we share our opinions later with everyone, regardless of if you get the questions or you're wrong. We try to get everybody along to get the question.
So we have students coming in all the time, and we have had success with graduates. I'm going to ask Ishmael, what's the one thing that you think all these graduates have in common when they get their diploma?
They're focused, hardworking, and we're on the websites given to us in school. And most of the times when they come back, they tell us to do the close reading a lot because you have to focus on the questions and don't deviate from the questions given.
What are you going to do with what you've learned in Pathways to Graduation?
In coming years, I'm planning to go to college and explore college to see what interests me most. And I'm going to also use what I learned from Pathways, because what you learn from Pathways is a lifelong lesson and you have to keep using it on and on in life.
P2G, my school.
That's enough.
It could be any question. It could be personal, it could be academic, it could be any kind of question.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay.
And utilizing more instructional core strategies during that practice.
One thing I really appreciated this year.
Hi, my name is Michelle White, Assistant Principal of Brooklyn. The
Cell phone.
Improve and also excel in bringing
Yo, we love Pathways, man.
And the